First time buyer concerns. What are the most asked questions? So, my name is Manda Walker and I'm the mortgage coach. I believe everyone has a right to their own home. Today, as I said, I'm going to be talking about first time buyer concerns. Now, I was asked the other day, what is a first time buyer? And it's one of those things that you kind of just assume people know, but people, they don't know what they don't know, which is what my mum always likes to say. So, a first time buyer is someone that has never purchased a property before. Now, if you're talking to a solicitor and you're talking about land registry, as in where you register the property that you would then own, what they will do is they will do a check. If they're a good solicitor, a thorough solicitor, they'll do a check and see if you have ever registered a property in the UK before. So if you've never registered a property in the UK before, then they'll class you as a first time buyer. Now, the actual rules stipulate that you aren't allowed to have bought a property abroad or in the UK. But as I've mentioned, they can pretty much only check the UK. So just for your reference, but it is meant to be UK and abroad, anywhere ever. Now, if you're asking a lender what they class a first time buyer, what they class a first time buyer is someone who has not owned recently. Now, some lenders will actually put they haven't owned a property in their own name in the last 3 years, in the last 6 years. Some will say ever, but again, there are certain checks they do and certain checks they don't, so you just need to be aware of these. Now, what is the difference? What does it matter what a solicitor thinks? What does it matter what HMRC thinks? What does it matter what a lender thinks? Now, if it's a lender differentiating between what a first time buyer is and what it isn't, it's important to them because there are certain mortgages, certain products that are only for first time buyers. Now, there are certain products that certain mortgages that will be a discounted rate for first time buyers. And what that means is you might have a 5-year fixed. So that's a mortgage that is the same rate for the next 5 years. And that is at a lower rate because you're a first time buyer. Now, if you were somebody else that wanted to have a 5-year fixed, but you weren't considered a first time buyer, you wouldn't get the exact same rate. The other things, they sometimes throw in perks. So they might throw in a free valuation, they might throw in a free home buyers report, they might throw in free legal, but that's all based. So you could have the exact same mortgage as someone else with the exact same rate, the exact same term, the exact same monthly payments, but yours may have free legal and theirs may not. Yours may have a free valuation and theirs may not. And the valuation is when they look at the property and see if it is worth the value of what you're purchasing for. That's what a valuation is. Now, first time buyers, from HMRC's point of view, this is when we're talking about stamp duty, and you're exempt at this point in time of recording. You're exempt from the first 300,000 if you are considered a first time buyer. Now, on that premise, it is important for HMRC to differentiate whether you are or whether you're not. Now, with the solicitor, it's the solicitor who will tell HMRC whether you're a first-time buyer or not, and when they are giving you your final bill, once it's completed, it will include whether you're paying stamp duty or not. So, if you're buying a property for 500k, you'll pay stamp duty on the 200k. If you're considered a first-time buyer because you have bought before, then you'll be paying the whole 500, and it works like that. So that's why it's important to understand why you would be classed as a first-time buyer and why you would not. Now, there are certain situations where you could be on the mortgage, and I've talked about this product before, which I think is a great mortgage type, which is called joint borrower sole proprietor. Now, if for some reason you wanted to, I met two sisters today and they're both buying together, Now, if one of them decided to put themselves on the deed and the other one just went on the mortgage with them for affordability but wasn't on the deed, they would not be considered a first-time buyer because they're not on the deeds. They legally are not on land registry. They don't own anything. So they could actually go in together, buy a property, and two of them are on the mortgage, one's on the deed, and then that way later on down the line, where if the sisters part ways for whatever reason, you know, these things happen, and the other sister then wants to go out and buy their own property, they would be able to take advantage of the fact that they were never on the deed, and then they can go out, buy their own property, and actually have the stamp duty exemption for them. So they buy the initial property with the stamp duty exemption because one of them is a first-time buyer and is going on the deed, and then later on, if they decided to part ways or make it into a buy-to-let and buy somewhere else or whatever, then the other sister could then put herself on the deed, and the other one could be for affordability if that's how they wanted to do it, and then that way they could also have stamp duty exemption. Now, the one loophole or the tightening that they've had is there was a married couple that I had clients, and they wanted to do this as well. So they wanted to have one on the deed and both of them on the mortgage, but not have both of them on the deed. And unfortunately, with married couples, and you'll have to get a better definition from a solicitor on this, but with married couples, because you're married, you are considered one entity. Therefore, if one of you owns a property, you're both considered the same. It's like when you go for a divorce and, you know, they try and split half the assets between the two of them. Sometimes the one person doesn't even have any of the properties or any of the assets in their name, but they still can go to court, say, I was married to this person for X amount of years and I want half. And you see it all the time. So that would be something that you just have to double check and be sure of. But if you're buying with someone that you're not married to, you've got no legal partnership, then there are, and that's, when I say legal partnership, I mean marriage or a civil partnership and think those kind of agreements, then you should be able to do, you know, one of you as first time buyer and not, and vice versa. And please, by all means, put questions in the comments if you need a better definition of this. I'm more than happy to answer it in more detail, but that's why it's very, very important to find out whether you're a first-time buyer or not. It can make a huge difference when you are buying your first property to whether you're paying stamp duty or whether you're getting any freebies from the lenders or a discounted mortgage. It can affect the cost quite a lot. So yeah, that is one of the first-time buyer concerns that someone's asked me about this week. If you've got any others that you would like me to answer, I get questions all the time, so I do like to answer them on my YouTube channel, which is great. If you have any, then I'd be more than happy to answer the question, and we can just go from there. I can give an explanation. So thanks for your time this evening, and take care. Everybody deserves to own their own home. Bye.